Welcome to Stock GPT Chat Forecasts, where we use the power of historical data to, uh, try to predict the future,
Right.
right? And today, we're diving deep, deep into 25 years of data for NVIDIA, or NVDA, I guess, if you're looking at the ticker.
Yeah, with 25 years of data, we can really see how NVDA has navigated all sorts of markets. We've seen the boom periods and some of the really big downturns too.
And that's what makes this so interesting for everybody listening. We can look at the past and get a glimpse of what might happen, right?
Yeah.
Especially with NVIDIA, they're a big player in some major tech trends.
Absolutely, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. Gaming, AI, even the metaverse, understanding how this stock has performed, it can give you some really valuable insights if you're at all interested in those sectors.
Okay, let's paint a picture here. Imagine you had $10,000 at the very beginning of NVDA. And knowing that the all-time percentage changes, get this, 356,656.10%, what do you think that would be worth today?
Well, that initial $10,000 would be, well, it would be an astonishing amount. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars. It really highlights the power of investing, especially long term. And a company like this that's had explosive growth, it's pretty amazing.
It is incredible, but we always say it, past performance, no guarantee of future results. So let's look at the data and see what NVDA's history can tell us about its future.
Yeah, this analysis is based on the closing price on November 13th, 2024. It was 146.27, down slightly by 1.36%.
Okay, one of the key indicators here, the Relative Strength Index, or RSI 14, which on that date was 65.38.
Right. RSI, it's a momentum indicator. It kind of helps gauge if a stock is maybe overbought or oversold. Above 70, you're often looking at overbought, and if it's below 30, well, that could be a signal that it's oversold.
So for NVDA, with that RSI of 65.38, it suggests, well, maybe there was some room for it to move up a bit more.
Yeah, it's possible. It's just one piece of the puzzle, though.
Right. And we also want to see, where NVDA stood relative to its all-time high on this date.
Actually, it was down just a little bit, drawdown of 2.34%. But that means that even with that little dip, it was still doing pretty well compared to its peak, historically.
So now let's get to the good stuff, right? We have data on, what might happen to NVDA's price the next day, a week later, a month later, even a whole year later.
And I think you'll find these probabilities pretty interesting, especially when you see the potential gains and losses.
Absolutely. But before we get into the specific time frames, I want to remind you that this analysis is based on 25 years of data. We're looking for moments when NVDA's behavior was similar to what we saw on November 13th, 2024.
Exactly. We're trying to find those patterns in the past, see what the future might hold.
It's not a crystal ball, right? But it can give you some insights as you think about your investment strategy.
So let's start short term. What might happen the next day?
Yeah, based on our analysis, it's almost a coin toss. Will it go up or down?
Pretty much, yeah. 44.84% chance, closing lower the next day with an average loss of 1.91%. But then you flip it, a 55.16% chance it closes higher, average gain of 2.12%.
So almost 50-50, but those gains are a little bit higher than the losses.
Yeah, and that's something we see, with stocks that are trending upwards. Even with the ups and downs every day, there's often, a little bias towards positive movement.
Now, if we look a week later, it's a little more interesting.
It does. We looked at 453 instances going back 25 years, similar conditions. 39.74% chance NVDA could be lower, average loss of 4.43%.
But a higher probability, 60.26%, that it could be higher, with an average gain of 4.77%.
Exactly. So thinking longer term.
Yeah.
History says there's a better chance of seeing gains.
What about a month out? What does the data say about, a 30-day period?
Well, over 30 days, the probability of it closing higher, that becomes even stronger.
Give us the numbers. What are we looking at based on history?
So we found 450 instances with similar price action and RSI levels. 33.56% of the time closed lower, average loss 7.83%. But the majority of the time, 66.44%, it closed higher. And we're talking a substantial average gain, 13.64%.
So if someone invested on November 13th, 2024, held it for a month, higher probability, based on this data, that they would see some pretty good gains.
You could say that, yeah. But got to remember, past performance, not a guarantee of future results.
Of course, of course. And that brings us to, I think, the most interesting part of all of this, the one-year probability.
Predicting stock prices a year out, it's tough, even with, historical data and AI.
For sure.
Yeah.
But what does NVDA's history, that 25 years, tell us about how it might perform over a year?
Well, based on 393 instances, going back 25 years, similar conditions, there's a 35.11% chance it could be lower, and that would mean an average loss of 41.62%.
That's a big loss, but I
Oof.
imagine there's also, a chance of it going up over that time, right?
Absolutely, and the probability of it closing higher is much greater. 64.89% chance it could be higher, and the average gain. Pretty impressive.
Don't leave us in suspense. What's the average gain?
Get ready, the average gain was 119.55%.
Wow. But gotta say it again, past performance, no guarantee of future results.
Definitely not. But it is a compelling insight into what NVIDIA can do over that longer time frame.
It really shows how powerful it is to look at that long-term data to get a sense of a company's growth.
And remember, these probabilities, they're based on, NVDA's whole history, that whole 25 years.
Yeah.
And we're looking for those times where its behavior was similar to what we saw on November 13th, 2024.
It's amazing what we can learn from the past, when it comes to stocks. And speaking of learning, there's one more thing. From NVDA's history, I think you'll find it pretty interesting.
Oh, I'm all ears. What is it? At one point, NVDA had a drawdown of, 90.09%. So that means its value dropped by over 90% from its high point.
Yeah, it's like a reality check. Even the biggest companies, they can face tough times. The stock market, it's unpredictable.
Totally. And it shows why we got to look at, both sides, the potential to go up and the potential to go down for any stock.
Especially with NVDA. I mean, they've had huge growth, but also some pretty big swings in price.
Right, exactly. That's why this historical data, it's so valuable. Helps us understand, all the possibilities, not just the best case scenario.
So I've seen it all with NVDA, right? The chance for big gains and the chance for, well, some pretty big losses too.
And these probabilities we're talking about, they're based on specific conditions at specific times.
It's crucial to think about your own goals, how much risk you're comfortable with, your whole financial picture before you make any decisions.
Investing, there's always going to be some risk. It's important to know the rewards and the downsides.
So big picture, NVDA's history, it gives us a look into what might happen.
But it's just one piece of the puzzle. Do your research. Think about your strategy. Make those decisions based on your own situation.
And if you want to go deeper with NVDA or any other stock, head over to stockgptchat.com.
We have personalized predictions and insights that can help you make, smarter decisions using data.
We use AI and all that historical data to look at, tons of data points to give you a complete picture of a stock's potential.
We want to make investing easier to understand for everyone, no matter, how much experience you have.
So whether you're a pro or just starting out, StockGPT Chat can give you those valuable insights.
We believe that knowledge is power, and we want to give investors the tools they need to navigate, how complex the stock market can be.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive into NVDA. Hopefully you have a better understanding now of its potential, the risks and the rewards.
And as always, we encourage you, keep doing your research and make those informed decisions that match your financial goals.
Right. The best investment is in yourself.
Yeah.
And your knowledge.
Well said. Until next time, keep exploring, the amazing world of finance.
It's been a wild ride looking at NVDA, hasn't it? All that history and trying to figure out, where it might be headed.
What really stood out to you? Anything surprising in all that data? Or something that maybe changed your mind about NVDA?
I think that the thing that gets me is, you see this massive growth over 25 years, but then you have those moments like that 90% drawdown we talked about. It's kind of crazy.
It really does show you. Even the best companies, they can hit some bumps. The market, it's not always going to go up.
And that's why it's so important to, spread your investments around, not put all your eggs in one basket, manage that risk.
For sure. And it shows you it's all about the long game, long-term perspective.
Right. Not getting, freaked out by the day-to-day changes.
Yeah.
Focus on those big trends, what's really driving these companies.
And for NVDA, those fundamentals look pretty strong. I mean, they're leading the way in some really important areas of tech.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Gaming, AI, the metaverse, NVDAs, they're right there, shaping the future.
Makes